When should you use free webinars or paid webinars? This is the question that I'm going to answer today. My name is Simone Vincenzi. If you don't know me, we help experts and companies create webinars that convert every single time without sounding obnoxious. And when making the decision whether you want to use a free webinar or a paid webinar, you need first of all to understand two things. One is, what is your goal? What goals do you have? And the second thing is, how big is your audience? So let's explore both of these scenarios. First of all, if your goal is to build an audience through webinars, using paid webinars are the worst ways. Why? Because when you're adding a price point to a webinar, you're unnaturally going to select a smaller number of people that can register. So if your objective is actually using webinar to grow a list of qualified leads that can stay with you beyond the webinar itself, then doing a paid webinar might not be the best decision, because you're adding friction. You're making it more difficult to someone that doesn't know you to experience you. So if my goal is actually to build my list, to build a relationship, build connection, get in front of new people that never heard of me before, I'd rather do a free webinar, because I know that my return is going to be much higher, because I'm going to have way more people registering, and my registration of today will be my clients of tomorrow. In fact, if you do a webinar right, you will have a 10% conversion, between 10% of attendees or registration conversion immediately, but then you will have an extra 10 to 30% after 3 months and beyond. So I'm focusing on the months after the webinar, because they're going to be my most profitable. And if I had a price ticket on my free webinar, what's going to happen is that I'm going to miss out on those clients that can buy from me later on. So if your goal is list building, then I recommend using a free webinar. That's my first piece of advice. Now, if your goal is intimacy and only working and only having attendees that are pre-qualified, then using a paid webinar makes sense. You know that it's something that you will have to market much more heavily, because it's something that someone needs to buy. So the marketing is different compared to a free webinar, but you know that you will have more people that will show up because they have invested. So the show up rate on the webinar will be increased as much as the registration rate will be lower, but of course you get paid upfront. Now also you will have a much higher uptake in terms of immediate sales, because they are people that are invested already in learning those information, so they are more likely also to buy later. So now, if your goal is conversion, then a paid webinar works well. If your goal is list building and building a relationship with new leads, then use a free webinar. So that's the first thing, the goal. But then let's also have a reality check, because sometimes I have people that they say, oh, I really want to do a paid webinar, Simone. I said, yes, of course, let's explore. How many people do you have in your database? Only 100 people. I'm like, it's not going to be easy. How big is your audience? I got a couple of 100 followers. It's not going to be that easy, because of course now you're working with much smaller percentages. So if you are starting out in your business, or you don't have a large database or a large social media following or a lot of great partnerships, my recommendation is to still use a free webinar, because it's going to be a lot of work for very little sales. And yes, those people are going to show up and maybe they're going to buy, but the amount of work is going to be required compared to the conversion the sales you're going to have later, then I don't think it's worth it. And also you're going to miss out on the best thing, which is getting your leads of today that are going to be your clients of tomorrow. And if you follow my strategy, which is to run webinars consistently, at least twice a month to your audience, then what's going to happen is that one webinar will fill the next one, and will fill the next one, and will fill the next one. Because what's going to happen is that someone that registered today, it doesn't show up today. They might show up on the 4th or 5th time they're invited to the same webinar, and then they're going to buy there. But you got the lead on the first one. So if you are adding immediately a paid webinar, you are going to miss out on the benefit of this ongoing strategy, where one webinar compounds on the next one, compounds on the next one, and compounds on the next one. Now, if you already have a big audience. If you're already a leader in your industry, you have a big database, you have a great social media following, I would recommend you to test a paid webinar, because what you can do is to then find within your audience who are the real aficionados, right? Who are the people that are ready to buy right now, who are the people that love you so much, that are immediately ready to invest in you. And so instead of doing something mass market, what you're going to do is to craft and curate those great loyal followers, the people that are immediately interested in investing in finding the solution to their problem. So you are skipping the relationship building process compared to a free webinar, but you're going straight to conversion and finding out within your audience who are the people that are ready to buy straight away. So in that case, doing a paid webinar makes sense. So these are the scenarios. This is like a quadrant matrix. First of all, understanding your goal. Is your goal list building or conversion? Then you want to find out, is your audience a small audience, or do you already have a big audience? So if you have a big audience and your goal is conversion, then paid webinars, they are going to work incredibly well. If you have a small audience and your goal is list building, then use free webinars. Now, if you have any other questions, please make sure you put them in the comment. I also have an incredible resource called the Webinar Conversion Kit, where for $29.99, you can create a high converting webinar presentation. You get all my templates and also a bit of sprinkle with AI to help you create a high converting webinar presentation. Check it out. All the links are in the show notes. They are in the comments. And if you have any question on webinars, then feel free to put them below. Again, subscribe, and I cannot wait to see you next time. And remember, together we grow exponentially. Ciao!